Happy Coffee Talk Monday. Dr. Michelle here. How are you? Happy Monday. Are you a leader in some sort of capacity? And when I say leader, I guess I sort of mean that, there's so many different types of leaders. There are leaders of companies and organizations. There are leaders in families. Parents are generally leaders. Coaches tend to be leaders. Teachers, athletes who are in higher ranking positions. So I guess when I say leader, there are a lot of different leaders, and that's in a large sense. Are you a leader? I bet a lot of you listening to this are a leader. And with that comes great responsibility that we don't often think about. I think one of the things that's really tough is not only do we not think about that, which is problematic once you're there, but many of us don't really think about like sort of getting there and whether or not we want to be there. Like, for example, in my situation, I became a business leader and executive, and I never really wanted or didn't want to be there, and I never really thought about being there. But there I was. And so many of us get there just based on the process of life, the process of like moving through a company and organization, the process of becoming a better athlete, a better musician, better at whatever it is that we do, or getting older. Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons that we just like, ta-da, end up in a certain place. And sometimes that process is kind of unconscious. And then there we are. And we're like, oh, okay, right. We'll just deal with this like I deal with, everything else, right? Just sort of figure it out. And I think that is sometimes a slightly problematic attitude. It's a good attitude, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to deal with this. Unfortunately, many times we're not equipped to deal with the place we end up in, right? Fortunately for me, when I grew into this business executive leadership position, I was working through my PhD. So I was developing a lot of like really good skills, and in particular, people skills, how to deal with people. But before that, when I was in a slightly lower level leadership position, I did not know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know. And I made a lot of mistakes, which is good, because when you make mistakes, hopefully you can learn from those mistakes. But when I got to the big job, I had the history of making those mistakes and learning from them, and everything I was learning from my PhD. So I feel like I did deliberately and consciously work on my leadership skills, which was good because I ended up being a really good, effective leader. And for most of the rest of you, from what I hear from clients, it's a difficult transition because we're not born with leadership skills. So what does that look like? What does that mean? I mean, being a nice, genuine, authentic person is a good step in the right direction, but there's more to it than that, right? There's you, and then there's the people that you lead. And there is a lot to that. And it can be very overwhelming and very frustrating when you just find yourself, here you are, you're a leader. Uh-oh, people are watching me. And I don't know how to deal with this, right? This happens with parents. This happens in business and organizations. This happens in coaching, teachers, music teachers, professional athletes. I'm just going to talk about Djokovic for a really quick moment because I think it's something that probably most of you have heard in the news. Prime example of someone who is considered a leader in tennis, not really sure how to deal with that position, right? And he's been in tennis for a really long time, but not maybe sending out the right messages. And in his position, again, really critical to think about the messages that you are sending out, because you're a role model and a leader in tennis and on the big stage being looked at by millions and millions of people. And yeah, of course, look, as leaders, we can't always do the right thing. We won't always do the right thing, and we will make mistakes. But I'm just going to leave it at but. Being a role model is part of a leader's job. And you have to think about how you want to model the behaviors that people see. Yeah, because it's really critically important as a leader to be able to do that. Going back to me, when I was a business executive, I worked really hard at being very deliberate and very conscious about how I moved through the company and organization, how I interacted with people. Many times I would go and work alongside them. I would have an open door policy. I would work really hard not to tell them what to do, but to help them understand and grasp the bigger concept, and then ask them how they wanted to get something done. Obviously, communication skills are really critical and important. There's a lot of skills to being a leader, and you have to really work on them and develop them in order to get to where you want to go. So if you're a leader in any capacity, think about how you show up. Think about how people see you. And what skills can you develop a little bit better so that you're the leader of whatever it is that you do. All right, this is Dr. Michelle. Have a great week, and I will see you again next week. Take care.